Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rams House Podcast. I'm your host, Ethan, joined by my co-hosts, Will and Joe. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, guys?
What's up? How you boys doing?
Doing
Doing all right.
good. So, for those of you who are joining us from the previous channel that we were utilizing, we're starting fresh here. That channel was 7 years old and had been sitting idle for 7 years when we started using it, and it's totally messed up with the algorithms on YouTube. So, we're going to start fresh, episode 1, post draft, and that's what we're here to talk about. Is the NFL draft just finished? It's an interesting draft. We made some moves. We got some guys. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna do a
interesting.
yeah we're gonna do a whole discussion on the draft and do a bit of an offseason recap. Take a look at where our depth chart sits as of right now. But yeah, let's go dive into the draft. What was your guys' favorite pick of the draft?
Um, my favorite pick of the draft. Let's see.
That's actually
Terrence was like,
that's a tough like it's kind of upsetting that that's a tough question, right? Like,
It is.
yeah.
That's what. Yeah,
I
and
think I can find one.
we're not trying to figure out who our favorite pick of the draft is. We're trying to find any of them that are worth calling favorite.
Me, it's between the first two, I guess. Between Terrence and Josiah. I like Josiah a lot. Just watching his tape and seeing what he could do. But if I had to choose between either of them, I would say probably just Terrence, just because I already thought Terrence was good before we even drafted him. So I'll probably say Terrence.
That's
yeah. I
fair.
mean, I agree. I like addressing tight end, so I'll say Terrence Ferguson. I think that may have been a little bit early to take him, but I like the player and I like addressing tight end, so I'll say Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with the Terrence Ferguson pick. I wasn't a huge fan of the pick, just because we have been talking all off season about the vision being becoming contenders this season and going for a Super Bowl. That's the reason we gave a huge raise to Matthew Stafford, and a lot of our moves were supposed to be based on this concept of really going for a Super Bowl. And I'm not even sure Terrence Ferguson is going to get a lot of playing time in year one. Tight ends are notoriously slow to develop at the NFL level. Tyler Higbee's still kicking. Now he is injury prone, but we just paid
Mhm.
big money to Colby Parkinson. We just signed Davis Allen, right? So our tight end room is actually has three, kind of low end starter quality guys, and we have huge holes in the secondary. We have huge holes at inside linebacker next to Omar Spates, and
Yeah.
you know there's other bigger. If we're just really looking at the future, and that again, it goes counterintuitive to the vision that we keep talking about. If we're looking for future starters, like there's a more pressing need, in my opinion, at right tackle because we don't know how much longer Rob Havenstein's going to last. There's other more pressing needs at running back. Kyron is probably gone after this year. They don't seem to have a
Corner.
lot of faith in Corum. Yeah, cornerback for today and the future is a huge need. Um, it just wasn't on the top of my list in any dynamic that you're looking at the draft in.
Yeah.
And I like Ferguson a lot. Ferguson was our number 2 tight end when we were scouting
Mhm.
before the draft. We had obviously we had Warren number 1, Ferguson number 2, and Fanning number 3. Um, and so we really like the player. I wish we would have picked him up in the 3rd round, but also it's just a bit head scratching for your first pick in this draft in a year that you are claiming to want to contend for a Super Bowl to be a guy who probably won't play very many snaps this season.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, Les Snead did mention that they want to start to run more 12 personnel, which for those that don't know, that's 2 tight ends. But I was telling you guys off air before, I don't know if I believe that. I mean,
I
we
mean,
say that now in what is it, May
we say
or
stuff like that every offseason, right?
yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I buy that. And it's one of those things where it's like we ran some 12 personnel last season in spurts and it actually worked.
Really
And
well.
then we went away from it. So it's at
And
this
it
point, it's
worked
like I'll
with
believe it when I see it. We'll see.
right. It worked with the existing personnel, which by the way didn't include Tyler Higbee. It was actually Davis
Right.
Allen or Hunter Long and Colby Parkinson.
Mhm.
So we did it for like a couple games and it was hugely successful, and then we like didn't do it the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. That's the issue. Like in theory, like we just saying, in theory, it's a good idea. Like it could probably work. You put Terrence out there and Tyler Higbee, got an explosive young guy, and Tyler, it could probably work. But like you said, as we saw last year, it was just everything was switched up after every game. It felt like we played one way this game, then another way next game, another way next game, and that's sort of like how our draft's been. Like just going back to the draft, like I felt like this last year, it felt like we drafted for need.
Mhm.
This year, we drafted best player available. And what to them, best player available to them in their eyes.
Sure.
So it's like I just don't understand the way they think of drafts because why didn't we just use the same formula we had last year and just copy and paste it to this year? Knowing that we
There
still have
was
holes
there was
all around the
great
roster.
players available at these picks. So let's discuss this, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at an overview look
Yeah.
of the draft. We took Terrence Ferguson in the second round, pick 14, tight end at Oregon. We took Josiah Stewart from Michigan, edge rusher at the 26th pick near the end of the third round. Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, running back. Ty Hamilton, defensive tackle from Ohio State. Chris Paul Jr., tiny linebacker from Ole Miss. And Kanata Mutfield, the wide receiver from Pittsburgh. So, first of all, there was better players available in positions of need all over on during this draft, which is kind of the upsetting part. Like talking about the second pick with Terrence Ferguson, our top-rated corner in the draft, Benjamin Morrison, was available then. The cornerback from Notre Dame. There was, you're talking about the third round pick with Josiah Stewart. We had look. Here's the interesting part, right? Like this is one thing I really wanted to touch on today. We obviously wanted a running back because we traded up in the fourth. We actually gave up quite a bit to trade up to get Jarquez Hunter. Well, if we wanted a running back so bad, Cam Scatabo was still available with that pick in the third round.
Yep.
Or we could have traded up higher in the fourth round and taken Cam Scatabo because he made it past the third round. He was a third pick in the fourth round.
Right.
Like no one on planet Earth is going to convince me that Jarquez Hunter is a better running back than Cam Scatabo.
No, he's not at all.
So it just seems like at every position. So let's take a look real quick. Round two. I know this was really a planned thing, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I really want to talk about this. After Terrence Ferguson, you got guys like Will Johnson. We weren't super high in Will Johnson, but middle of the second round, Will Johnson's kind of a bargain.
That's good
here.
value there. I mean, I would have done that. Yeah.
He's a bargain, yeah.
And then you're Benjamin Morrison down here. Demetrius Knight is a beast. I wouldn't have been upset about that. At a position of need at linebacker. Ozzy Tropillo is going to be a stud right tackle. Jack Beck from TCU is a stud at receiver. I mean, really good. He has a chance to be a top tier slot kind of guy. Mike Green, everyone was going crazy about an edge. If we really wanted an edge, this guy's supposed to be. He at some points he was being talked about in the top 10.
You know what?
Right.
I watched his tape. Other than the extracurricular activities that he was involved in, which is the reason why he fell so low.
Accused of.
Yeah,
not proven. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you watch his tape, Mike Green. I didn't watch all the other edges, but Mike Green tape is really, really, really great. Like he has.
Oh yeah, no doubt. On the field, there's no doubt, and I mean, it actually makes more sense than you may think because some people would say, "Oh, Jared versus Byron Young, we don't need another edge." But what is it? Byron Young's third. It's going to be his third year.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to re-sign. You're not going to pay.
You're not going to pay Byron Young.
You're not going to pay Jared Verse and Byron Young, and if you're going to have to pick one, you're obviously picking Jared Verse.
And they obviously wanted an edge player. We drafted one in the third round.
Right. Yes.
I think that's the replacement. I think that's
probably
the
exactly what I was just saying. Like the Rams are probably already thinking that way, so it could have made sense. I mean, I'll just say to be whatever, to not to stick up for the Rams, but just to give. I mean, tight end is a position of need, so I don't think I mind it as much as you guys, but I do think that's a little bit high to pick Terrence Ferguson.
It just depends on how you define need, right? Like we don't really have a starting inside linebacker number 2 right now. We don't really have a starting corner per se. We have guys that we will put as starters, but they're not starter quality. And then we talk about Trey Amos. You're talking about just corners. Benjamin Morrison. What'd you say?
I like Trey Amos is a really good pick.
We liked him a lot as well. So you got 3 corners drafted after Terrence Ferguson who are all starter quality corner. Honestly, any of these 3 guys are the best corner on the Rams if they get drafted.
Yeah. And one way to look at it is maybe it's one of those things where in a couple months we look back and we say it made more sense because there's something else the Rams want to do. Like I know obviously people are thinking about Jalen Ramsey or stuff like that. So like right now it doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll say that. But let's see if the Rams have something up their sleeve. Again, Jalen Ramsey or something else like that to where this draft now makes a little bit more sense.
No,
But
and
for
it could.
now, I'm with you guys. It's a little bit head
Hey,
scratching.
Darren.
It absolutely could. It absolutely my fault, Ethan, but it absolutely could work out because, like I said before, I like Terrence as a player. He's a good player, so he
Exactly.
could just come out and just be really good. I think that's absolutely possible. But I'm sure Ethan was gonna go over it again, but it's just you could have did something else with that.
Well, I'm
pick.
just looking. Darian Porter has incredible talent, physical
Yeah.
freak of nature.
Right.
Siobhan Ravel, the corner from East Carolina, absolute
Mhm.
stud. All of these guys are CB1 on the Rams the moment they walk in the building.
Yeah.
There's so much talent here. And then, we get down to the next pick, Josiah Stewart, and you're talking about some Dylan Gabriel getting taken after him. If you wanted a quarterback, you're talking about quite a few talented players, and especially at the top of the fourth round. We know we were looking for a running back. We have Bashul Tutin and Cam Scatterbo going at the top of round 4. Linebackers, Kaiser is an instant starter here. Stutzman is an instant starter here. Cody Simon is an instant starter here. Like, there's a lot of good players. And after Jarquez Hunter, we've got Jack Sawyer, edge rusher. He's a beast. Dylan Sampson, great running back. Jalen Lane, we liked from Teddy Buchanan was our linebacker 2. I mean, Jalen Royals, Alec Ayomano from Stanford. I mean, guys, the talent that we passed up on is painful. Even later on in the draft, we could have had Shadur in the 5th round. We had him as a top 10 pick, with most people did had him as a top 10 pick. And then after Ty Hamilton, Jaden Blue goes, who is Todd Gurley type speed from Texas at running back. DJ Giddens. I mean, we missed out on a lot of talent in the later rounds, guys, and all of our picks really. And so that's where I think I get a bit disappointed in is like more important positions, because if the plan in the vision is to try to win a Super Bowl this year, all the guys that we just talked about are day one starters, day one producers, and they actually like help make the Rams substantially better. I don't know that Terrence Ferguson does that. I don't know that Josiah Stewart does that on day one. I know Jarquez Hunter doesn't do it at all. If you guys have watched his tape, he's basically just Kyren Williams 2.0. I think he's a little better, but I'm not positive he's a little better. It's like he's very similar.
Yeah, we probably disagree on Jarquez. I think he's better than Kyren, but that's a low bar.
So I think he'll be better than Kyren.
Not really nothing to discuss.
Not even like, and that's not even me being that high on Jarquez Hunter. It's
sure
just, I'm not too high on Kyren, but that's another one of those moves, back to my earlier point, where it's like this move only makes sense depending on what the Rams do next. Meaning, if we don't re-sign Kyren Williams because we don't want to pay him, and now we drafted this similar running back, okay, that makes sense. If we re-sign Kyren Williams and added this guy has a lot of similar traits to Kyren, now that doesn't make sense. So it's
you traded up too. You gave away picks.
You
gave away capital too. Yeah.
So and you have Blake Corum, by the way.
But
so I'm kind of just in wait and see mode because I need to see the fuller picture to know whether I like this.
The issue though for me is even if we don't re-sign Kyren, he's not better than Blake Corum. Number one, we also didn't pay nearly as much. So you're talking about trading up into the 4th round. We gave basically 2 4th round picks to pick Jarquez Hunter in the 4th when there's guys like, Teddy Buchanan, there's starter quality players that are going after him. And if we were really concerned about getting, because one of the things that sticks out to me, we're always talking about Les and Sean are always saying things and then they don't do them. Like Les saying, "Oh, we want to play more 12 personnel." I mean, Sean said that last year too, and then he did it for like a game. It was hugely successful and he never did it again. And one of the things that Sean said this offseason was we want to get more versatile. He pointed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and their use of Rachaad White and Bucky Irving and how those guys play together and how they have an interesting dynamic. Well, you had the opportunity to go out and get different dynamic players in this draft. Cam Scatterbo, Tutin, Jaden Blue, Travion Henderson. There was a lot of game-changing kind of running backs that went in rounds 2, 3, and 4, and 5 that we could have gotten that would have actually added versatility and a new dynamic to the offense. We did none of those things. And so
Yeah.
we got a guy who really doesn't add any new dynamic whatsoever. So that's what I'm really saying is that, yeah, whether you think he's as good as Kyron, better than Kyron, or worse than Kyron, it's kind of irrelevant because he's the same player.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, even if, like you're saying, even if we're not going to keep Kyron, Blake Corum is a good back, and he kind of gives you that steady, like between the tackles. I mean, he can, don't get me wrong, he can run outside too, but he's
Yeah.
kind of that steady back where I think if you're going to add someone, it should be like a change of pace back, someone like Tootin or someone like that. So I agree with you. I mean, at first when I watched Hunter, I wasn't high on him at all, and for some reason, after like a second, third look, I started to like him more, and he did run pretty fast, you know, in the 40. So,
I,
I don't know.
yeah,
Like,
I had
I don't know. I
I
don't
had
hate
the
it. I don't.
opposite. I had the opposite experience. I
You liked him
actually,
less
yeah,
after
because
watching.
one of the things that we talk about a lot when we watch film on players, and we are going to watch film on all these guys in future videos and future episodes, but is we're trying to gauge whether what they're doing will work at the next level, right? And for running backs, one of the ways that I like to do that is basically watch when he's breaking tackles, when he's hitting holes, when he's avoiding tackles, when he is fighting for extra yards. How successful is he doing that? And is he gonna translate to the next level? Because there's guys like Saquon who hit every hole by a mile, who missed every tackle by a mile, who broke every tackle by a mile. It wasn't even a question. Saquon was going to be successful at the next level. And one of the things that stuck out to me watching Hunter's film is he barely hit the hole. He barely broke that. Like he was breaking tackles and getting his balance, but it like took a second because he was very severely knocked off balance by guys who are going to be working at 7-Eleven in the next 2 years. And so it's problematic. I don't see him doing nearly as well at a lot of these things at the next level when everyone is stronger, faster, and bigger, has longer arms, bigger hands, etc.
Well, I'm gonna say this: if Kyron could do it, I'm pretty sure
But
Jarquez
see,
probably.
Kyron's film was way
Yeah.
better than Jarquez as far as like balance control and a couple other things. Now, obviously, Hunter is significantly faster, but Kyron's balance and his quote unquote acceleration from balance, or his ability to keep moving after balance, was much better than Hunter's was. And
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. We'll see. Real quick, Will, I did want to get back
yeah,
to
yeah.
a point real quick because I feel like we're moving on a little bit. Just to go back. So, I do agree with what you were saying as I was thinking about it. What you were saying that it depends on what the Rams do. So, like in the ideal world, as I'm looking at it, if they're gonna go 12 personnel, and like you said, if they're gonna say, "Hey, Kyron, we're not gonna resign you," but the thing about it is, if they don't resign him, that don't mean he's gone. They will have to cut him
Right.
or trade him or something like that,
He'd be
right?
here for one
So,
more year, like this
yeah.
season, and then he'd be gone. Yeah.
So let's just say ideal world, they get rid of him or trade him because he think he get money from somewhere else, right?
sure.
Um, and they run a two back system with Jarquez and Blake Corum. Whether or not they're two ideal backs to run that system, but if they do
Well,
it,
12
I
is
feel like
two tight ends, not two backs.
no, I mean like not two backs. I mean like if they're rotating them in
Sure,
and
sure.
out.
Yeah, I think he's just
Yeah.
saying like if we have those two backs, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're doing it like in the efficient way the other teams do it, like we always say the Lions or other teams that efficiently do it. If they do it like that in that ideal world, okay, then I could understand. But like Ethan said, they say that stuff all the time, and who knows if it's going to happen
Well,
consistently enough to even.
No, I mean,
I'll play devil's advocate to that point because even if they do that, every team that successfully runs a two back system has a totally different dynamic with each running back. Corum and
right,
Hunter
right,
aren't really that different from each other.
right.
They have the same kind of things they do well. Corum's just much better at it. And if they're wanting to go towards a two back system, there was guys like Jaden Blue and Tootin who and Travion Henderson who are explosive, fast receivers who would have been a totally different dynamic from Kyron and Corum. They really just got a guy. It was the same thing as last year, where it was like, oh, we're going to get a compliment to Kyron, and then we ended up getting a guy who's just like Kyron, and then he never saw the field.
So
Yeah,
then,
even though he
so
played
go
well,
ahead, Will. Go ahead, Will.
like that's the thing. I mean, I've been saying this for like 2 years. Like the Rams don't do backfield by committee. I mean, how many years have we come into this season? I could go back to like Daryl Henderson and Cam Akers,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, like you know,
Ever since Todd Gurley left.
these guys are about equal. They'll both get a shot. They'll both play, and it's like it just never ends up happening. And then
So
even
that's
when
the point. So like, why are you trading up and getting a running back? That's what I don't
But
understand. It's
that's
just I don't get
exactly.
it.
It doesn't make any sense. But we make a lot of moves that don't make any sense. We chose to trade or cut Cooper Cup and give Tutu Atwell 10 million. We could have just not gotten Tutu. We could have kept Cooper Cup, and we would have actually had more cap space. Like that's the reality. Like we actually would have had more cap space if we just let Tutu go and kept Cup.
Yeah.
We
I mean, if you're going to get rid of Kyron, if you're not going to resign Kyron, even though I agree with you guys that Hunter and Corum is not the versatility that I wanted, you don't want to just have Corum on the roster. So if you like Jarquez Hunter a lot and you're not going to keep Kyron Williams, then okay, fine. I still wish it was someone more versatile from Corum, but it could make some sense. If they keep Kyron
Yeah,
Williams, it literally makes no sense at all.
it will.
So
You know what's gonna happen though. Like it's with the writings on the wall. You know what's gonna happen. I don't know if they're gonna extend him or not, but I can guarantee
I
you,
don't know,
Kyron
man.
Williams,
I
Kyron
don't
is
know if
gonna be
they're
on
gonna
this team
resign
next
him.
year. I
I
don't
Hold,
don't
know,
hold,
know.
hold on. There is
but he's
precedence
gonna
for
be on the
this.
team.
Joe, no, there's precedence for this. There's actually really good precedence for this just last year. They were talking about Ernest Jones like he was the greatest linebacker that the Rams had ever
Mhm.
drafted, how much they loved him, what a great person he was. They said, we're trying to work out a contract. We can't wait for him to be a Ram long term. And then a week later, he was gone.
That's true. And by the
So
way,
it's
yeah, yeah.
possible. It's really possible.
No, it is. It is. I agree with that. It is possible.
But
Hopefully
it's
that happens.
unlikely. They seem to love Kyron like something fierce, man.
I mean, if you're somebody who, and I don't want to relitigate this whole history about why we're not high on Kyron Williams. Basically, I could say it in two sentences: is we had the lowest amount of 20 plus rushes in the NFL, and his yards sorry, our team's yards per carry was like second worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
But like all those carries are Kyron. But like if you're in the camp of not wanting to keep Kyron, then I think it's fair to say that was a positive sign. Like you traded up to get a running back that is
Sure.
in some ways similar to Kyron. So I'm feeling a little bit better about it. Ideal world, like full copium in my pipe, is we're not going to re-sign Kyron Williams and we're going to take that money and use it to get Jalen Ramsey. If we do that, the combination of not having Kyron and having Jalen Ramsey makes me feel way better about this team going forward.
That's a lot of ifs, but if that happens, I'll be
Yeah.
pretty happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So
long shot. But, I can dream.
let's talk about. I mean, really, the Ty Hamilton is kind of. I kind of don't like this pick, and the main reason why is because after watching his film, I really just like Tyler Davis more, and it's kind of confusing to keep adding depth. Like, where is he gonna play?
Yeah.
Where is he
I
gonna
haven't
get snaps
probably
at?
watched
Yeah,
Hamilton
he's not going to
yet.
play anytime soon. That's
And then Chris Paul Jr. is. I don't
We all
like
did
his
like
film at all. We didn't like his film. He is super undersized. We'll get to that, and then we have Kanata Mumfield, who it looks really nice on film.
Yeah.
We'll
worth a
see.
flyer.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the athleticism of some of these guys. So we have Terrence Ferguson, actually the fastest 40-yard dash for any corner. He's pretty well sized, 6'5",
Yeah.
250 pounds. He's not your big bulky blocking guy. Really long arms, almost 33 inches. Great vertical explosiveness. So as far as athleticism is concerned, he's pretty fast. He's pretty explosive. Definitely not going to be the big inline blocking guy, but he's a weapon, and we're going to get to watching film in future videos. We just kind of want to give a breakdown. But Terrence has. I'll say this: as much as I've kind of ragged on the pick, I do think Terrence has the upside to be a top 10 tight end in the NFL.
He does, bro. He
I
has
don't
it found.
think that's likely because no one really ever hits their upside, but he definitely has that upside, and that is at the very out of the tight ends we've drafted since McVay's been here, he's probably the first one that's had that upside. Now, Gerald Everett was very athletic and all these things, but Everett had drop problems in college, and he had his own issues. His route running was really lazy. There was a laziness about Gerald Everett that was apparent in the college film and just clearly showed up. Like Gerald Everett and Van Jefferson are the same guy almost, where it's like you could tell they both have a ton of talent, but they just don't put the work in.
Right.
In
some ways,
oh man,
like Ferguson is like almost the opposite in the of Everett in the sense that like Everett was like a project played for a small school, didn't play a lot. And Ferguson is like, well, Joe, we talked about, well, he played 4 seasons at Oregon, right?
Yeah,
Like, I
4
feel
seasons.
like
Yeah.
he's a really polished, solid product that's like ready to play. So
He play a lot at Oregon? I can't remember. Let's go look at his
Um,
numbers. Yeah, he
his
he
last
has a
2
lot
years
of
he
playing
played a lot.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went up as he has a lot of snaps under his belt. He really didn't become the full-time starter until actually the last year. But you can see he put up really good numbers in his previous seasons as a spot starter. And they totally changed the way they utilized him in the last season of his campaign there, which is why you see a big bump up in the yards per reception, and his just
Yeah.
overall play. They really decided to start using him as a weapon and not just like a guy that gets the ball when everything else breaks down.
Yeah. I think Jordan Rodriguez was talking about it. Either somebody was talking, I think it was Jordan Rodriguez, that the offensive coordinator for Oregon, I think they got a new one or something, but he started using them in a lot of tight end screens, bubble screens.
Yeah.
And he succeeded in that because he's athletic. He can break tackles. He can make moves out the
His
at
his
the line.
his best play on film. He had great bubble screens, but he had these inline blocks, and then he would leak out, and it was clearly
He got
like
yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah.
type of bubble screen. It's a block and leak screen, and
Mhm.
he took all of those deep, man, all of them.
Yeah.
And I think it was either Will or someone in the Discord chat said that he led college football in yak.
Yeah, I think,
yeah,
I
that
think you
wasn't
know what?
me.
That was
I
me.
didn't.
That was me. That was me. I had seen that somewhere that he led all tight ends in yak in college football.
So that's yards after catch, but on a per reception base.
Per reception,
Warren has
base.
the most total, but on a per
Yeah,
reception base, he was number one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Terrence is an exciting young guy. We just
Yeah.
would have preferred something maybe like a corner or maybe an
Yeah.
inside linebacker, something that would have been a little bit more day one productive. But we like the player a lot. I have high hopes for him. I'm hopeful he gets some snaps in year one, but man, with McVay, it's impossible to tell. Some guys he loves and they get a lot of time. Some guys he despises and they don't play at all, like Jordan
Yeah.
Whittington and Blake Corum. But
Yeah.
I promise you won't know. You won't know until game 1 or 2 or something. If he really is going to play
Yeah.
him or not. That's
I
what-
want to. Yeah, I just want to say a little bit more about Ferguson.
Sure.
So if you remember McVay's first draft, like we just mentioned, he took Gerald Everett in the second round. I think it was like pick 37 or something.
Mhm.
McVay came from Washington, where he worked with Chris Cooley and I think his name was Jordan Davis. And tight ends were a huge part of the offense in Washington when McVay was getting his start as OC. And I don't remember where I heard it, but McVay was saying that Ferguson reminds him of Chris Cooley, which, like, that's an interesting comp. I don't know if you guys remember Chris Cooley. He played for
I
the
do.
Redskins. Really
Yeah.
good tight end. And also a tight end where, like, on film or by, metrics, like, there's nothing, like, that seemed elite about him, but everything kind of just added up to where he was, like, a very good tight end. Like, he was just smart. He was tough. He was always in the right spot. He had good hands. And everything kind of just added up to him being, like, a very good tight end. And McVay was basically saying, like, he sees a lot of Cooley in him. So I don't know. Interesting comp. Like, I agree with you. I don't think he'll ever be like, I don't think there's any chance this guy is like George Kittle or Travis Kelce. I know
No.
Snead said like some of the measurables reminded him of Kelce. I was just like, dude, chill out. Like, I don't ever see that type of upside. But like you said, Ethan, I could see like top 6, 7 tight end in the league. Like someone else comped him to Jake Ferguson on the Cowboys, like someone like that. And he does fit really well into what we do on offense. So
because
I'm getting a little bit more excited about him just
Yeah.
talking about it. But
what
we'll
he
see.
does really well is what we actually used our tight ends for last year. The problem is
Right.
none of our tight ends can create after the catch, so it ends
At
up
all.
just being like a nice 3 or 4 yard gain. Ferguson has the capabilities to turn that into a 20, 25, 30 yard game.
Yep.
I don't personally see the Cooley comp just because Cooley was really a possession tight end, and this guy seems to be more of a weapon tight end. I
Mhm.
guess he's just trying to relate it to someone that he's coached in the past. But
And I think the smarts, like the intangibles.
yeah,
too,
that
like,
probably makes more
and
sense.
like
Yeah.
understanding where to be and
Yeah, Ferguson's really good. That's his specialty when it comes to actually being a receiving tight end and not doing the bubble screens and the blocking leaks and all that kind of stuff. Is actually two things that popped out on the film a lot was finding the soft spot in the zone and sitting in it really cleanly. making himself a very receivable open target to the quarterback. And whenever Dylan Gabriel did have to buy more time by using his legs and and escaping pressure, Ferguson was really good at not just standing still and actually trying to find an open spot to kind of give himself a window for the quarterback to throw to him. I think those are all things that we use our tight ends for, but they were not very good at executing any of those things. So
Right.
Ferguson has legit, yeah, we're not talking top 5 tight end, Kelsey Kittle, the Mark Andrews kind of thing. We're talking about kind of that next tier. I kind of actually liken him to TJ Hawkinson. That's kind of my comp for him.
Oh, you know what? That's a really good comp, actually.
Hawkinson's quite a bit thicker and slower, but they do kind of the same kind of good things. But okay,
Yeah,
so
how tall is Ferguson? Last thing.
Six-
And by the way,
six- let me pull it up for you. He is over 6'5", so he's 6'5" and 3/10 of an inch.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
So he's
All right.
actually pretty tall. He's a little bit on the skinny side, but NFL strength and conditioning could probably add on 10 pounds and not lose speed. Probably add on 10 bench press reps and not lose speed. So there's some growth because he's physically gifted. He has the height, which you can't get taller. You can get more weight, you can get more strength, you can get more speed and agility and explosiveness. You can't get bigger hands or longer arms or higher height. And he's got all that stuff right where you want it for a tight end. Very, very prototypical in that sense. So Terrence is a beast. So let's go ahead and move on to Josiah. Josiah is the opposite of Terrence.
You didn't like this pick, I know. I already know you didn't like it.
Well, he's okay.
I did.
So there's an interesting thing going on with Josiah, and he's very small. 6'1" for an edge rusher is incredibly small. 249 pounds is decent weight for a speed rusher specifically, but it's definitely problematic where when you watch his game, he has this combination of he basically has 2 moves. Either he's rushing and bending around the edge, doesn't have elite bend at all, or he's bull rushing. My main concern is that he's not going to be able to do either of those things against people at the next level with great feet and great hands and great first steps. Those left tackles, right tackles on the NFL level have really wide and quick first steps. I don't see him having the speed to really make that work at the next level. What do you think?
Yeah. With Josiah, the one thing I liked about Josiah a lot was his first step. I thought he had a really, really, really good first step. Just getting off the line, getting off the ball. I thought that was really good. Like you said, I didn't really see an assortment of pass rush moves. It was a lot of bull rushes. And the funny thing about it,
Bulls
of
and
course-
bends, right? Bulls and bends. Like he was bending around the edge, speed rushing, and he
yeah,
was
yeah,
bull
I saw
rushing.
those, but specifically the bull rush itself, it sort of looked like a Jared Verse. I said Jared Rush, a Jared Verse
Yeah,
bull
yeah.
rush, like a poor man's Jared Verse bull rush, but they sort of had that same type of game a little bit, but like you said, Josiah's just smaller. He's not as quicker. He's not as physical. He's not
His
as.
hand fighting is non-existent. Very, very
Yeah,
little turns of hand fighting.
I thought that fight was okay. I saw some things here and there, but the only thing that popped out to me that I think can translate is just how he gets off the ball. He gets off the ball really, really great. That's really why I like the pick, and then I also like his mindset. Just doing more research on him, watching videos on him.
Yeah, no. It was definitely we love the human being pick, I think.
Yeah, because I seen something with Les, which is so funny. I seen something with Les the other day, and he said that something that he's been doing the last 2 years is he's been trying to find kids that came from junior colleges or smaller schools and they transferred to D1.
Yeah.
He said those kids that he's learned are usually dogs, and he said that those are the type of players that he wanted on his team. So I sort of get the way he's been, doing his players. And like Coastal Carolina, it's not a JUCO or anything, but it's a smaller school.
Yeah.
So you had to fight to get to Michigan. So yeah.
Yeah,
we
I
love
like
taking those types of players. Yeah.
we do, and I don't hate to pick You're right. You're correct. He has a really good first step, but he doesn't have good bend. And for a speed receiver to have a good first step and no bend doesn't really make a difference because
The speed edge rusher, yeah.
yeah, the left tackles, the right tackles at the NFL level have an elite first step, so they get out. And if you don't have the bend to get under with that speed, you're done. And he never really displayed elite bend. It's like I can see why he was successful at college. It's just like Hunter, like we were talking about earlier. I just don't see it translating to the next level. and because I think he's not fast enough or bendy enough to get around the edge. And like you said, he has Jared Verse bull rush type mechanics, but he doesn't
Mhm.
have Jared Verse size or strength. So
Yeah.
I really worry that he's going to get stonewalled on both of those fronts with some regularity. Now, you know, I wish it wasn't a third round pick. If it was the fifth, I'd be ecstatic about this pick because I do think
Right.
there's like he could provide some real upside as a rotational guy. Third is just too early for me with a guy like this because third round, I think there's still plenty of starter quality guys. And we got a guy who is going to be rotational year one. And if he doesn't really show what he can do, we may have to draft another edge or sign an edge next year when
Yeah,
Byron
actually,
leaves.
I think he was supposed to, if you can, could you go to the database real quick? I think Josiah was supposed to go. I don't know where he's supposed to. I think
Let
I
me pull
saw
it
a
up.
video and they said he's supposed to go in the 80s, and I think we drafted him in the, what did we draft him in the hundreds?
We drafted him in the 90s, actually, at 90.
The 90s? Yeah,
Um,
can you go if you can,
yeah,
you pull the
I'll pull
database.
it up real quick. Let's see.
'Cause I don't really remember
So
what
he
he
was,
said.
oh no, he was being projected at 75th. So we got him actually a little late. We got him
Yeah,
at 90. I don't see that kind
mhm,
of a pick there, to be honest. There were so many good players left. I mean, you're
yeah,
talking about Stutzman, linebacker one was available. You're talking about Teddy Buchanan. You're talking about some good corners. You're talking about
yeah,
there was so much talent left on the board.
yeah.
Again, it's kind of it's just too early, man. It's too early for a player like that. There's too many question marks about whether his game is going to translate to the next level, in my opinion. And yeah, it's a tough one for me.
Yeah. I mean, going back to what you said at the very beginning, we're supposed to be in a win now mode.
Yeah,
So again, Mike Green, we mentioned him earlier. That I would have been cool with because that guy's like an elite talent. So that means throw logic out the window, like take
100%.
him, even though we have good ends, and like we said, he can replace Byron Young. But this one to me, Josiah Stewart, like it's not even that I don't like the player, but I don't see him like I think at best he's a situational pass rusher on this team. Like he's not taking significant snaps from Byron Young this season.
Correct.
I just in that sense, I don't love it. Like third round pick is actually that's high draft capital. I mean,
Yeah.
we had 2 third round picks and we traded one away. So you only have 1 third round pick. We only had 6 picks total.
And it was the second pick of our
and-
draft.
Right. Yeah. Right. So to spend the second, yeah, exactly, the second pick on our draft, and a player that I don't see him like going a long way and helping us win a Super Bowl this year, which I know that's a lot to ask for a rookie in any event. But on the other hand, we've seen rookies contribute on this team.
Nick Scott
a lot.
contributed greatly in 2021.
Yeah. No, for sure. And we even last year, we had what like 5 or 6 rookies contributing. So
Cam was
you know,
great at safety last year down the stretch as he continues to improve. Like, yeah, rookies can definitely produce. And it seems like our top 2 picks, it seems like all of our picks are barely going to play this season.
yeah. I mean, Ferguson, I have some hope for, but yeah, I mean,
I think Ferguson is going to probably play more.
you could be entirely
He's gonna
right.
play more than everybody else.
Yeah.
I think the people that have the most chance to play a lot is Ferguson and maybe Jaquez. Depends on what happens with Kyron.
If he
Those are
plays
the two
over
I-
Corum, I'm going to flip some
Probably.
tables. I'm just saying.
I
And
did
to be
see,
honest, bro, I wouldn't count that out of happening, bro. I don't think McVay would really liked Corum as he got to see him in person and as he was on team. I don't think McVay is.
I think there's something
huge fan
weird
of that.
there. Yeah, like something that we don't, as a fan, we don't get to see locker room or practice with Corum because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Because when he was on the field, he was really good.
So let's take a look at Jaquez Hunter. He is tiny. I'm just kidding. He's pretty decent size. 5'9", 204 is pretty standard baseline size for a running back. The shuttle speed is very concerning. Agility is kind of one of the primary, utilities for a running back when it comes to maneuvering through tight spaces and also making big jump cuts and stuff. The explosiveness rate also concerning, and even though the 40-yard speed is good, the fact that it trickles down with the 20-yard, the 10-yard gives us a pretty good indication that his acceleration is not very good.
Right.
To have pretty mediocre acceleration for a 204-pound back is definitely very concerning. Just on an athletic composite scale, I would say there's some definite concerns here. Now, having watched the film, and we're gonna dive in depth to every player the Rams drafted in the coming weeks, but I'll kind of just reiterate what I said before and let you guys take the floor. My main concern is that the things that he did at the college level to be successful are not elite enough to work at the next level. He just when he broke tackles, he barely broke tackles. When he made it through a hole, he barely made it through a hole. When he, avoided a tackle or stiff armed a guy, he barely kept his balance. That kind of stuff is going to be significantly harder. Everyone at the NFL level is an elite athlete. They have longer arms, bigger hands. They're stronger. They're faster. Those holes are they close tighter. The tackle attempts are more fundamental and stronger. Like, yeah, when I watch him, it just seems like he's barely getting by to be a good running back in college, and I just wonder if that will translate at the NFL level where everyone is just a decent amount better.
Yeah, you want to go, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really disagree with anything you just said. I think the reason I say I was higher on him the more I watched him was at first I was just bummed because we got the same type of running
Sure.
back. I'm trying to do air quotes, but my camera's not
Yeah.
picking it up. The same type of running back as Kyron, where it's like, man, here's another kind of just like steady Eddie guy that's steady, but he's not gonna break runs at the second level. He doesn't have good agility, very good agility, good breakaway speed, all that. But I think what I guess gives me some optimism is what I noticed about him is he seems very decisive, and he will. From my evaluation, we can agree to disagree, but it seemed like he's making his decision fast. He's picking the right hole. He's kind of like a no nonsense, just just that type of back. And what annoyed me about Kyron Williams was how indecisive he is,
Sure.
and how a lot of times he doesn't pick the right hole. And I think Kyron Williams, like he if he just was picking the right hole consistently in our offense, because our offensive line is very good, and if he was just picking the right hole and being more decisive, we showed tape on our previous channel of all the opportunities and all the holes that were there that you don't even need to be a very good back, but if you're just being decisive and picking the right hole, there were so many yards that he left on the table. In that sense, I think Hunter could be very effective in this offense, which is honestly more of a testament to our offensive line and our offense than it is to him. But I could get myself excited about seeing him in this offense, for that reason.
Sure.
But I still want. I mean, it's not ideal. That
Yeah.
it's not the running back that I would have wanted. It's not the archetype of running back that I would have
Or the
wanted.
position you would have wanted at that spot, right? In the third round or fourth round, early in the fourth.
Well, if we took a running back and we
Well, that's
aren't
true. That's
re-signing
true.
Kyron Williams, I could be okay with it with the position. But again,
That's true.
ideally, it would have been someone that would complement Blake Corum. But
Or been like
that's
very different. Like even it's weird because Blake is a little bit like down the middle where he kind of has speed and some power. So you could have had Blake focus on one or the other. Like Cam would have been Cam Scotabo. I mean, Cam Scotabo would have just taken every carry. Cam is a bell cow starter. But a guy like Tootin would have been that big speed guy, Jaden Blue, Travion Henderson. Those guys would have been huge speed guys that would have been really good complements to what Corum can do with his power and his vision.
right.
Yeah. Just speaking on Jarquez, I think I'm a little higher than you guys on Jarquez. And when I say higher, um, I just like to scale it. It's not like I think he's a great running back. I thought he was good in college. I watched his film. He for Auburn team, he was good at SEC ball. He had good games. I watched some tape the other night. He had some good games against Alabama and then another school. I forgot what school it was. But just speaking on him being explosive, like Ethan said, from him watching, you don't know if it's going to translate. And of course, anything can happen. I don't know if it's going to translate either. But he was the second highest explosive running back and high explosive rush rate with 150 plus carries in the FBS.
Mhm.
So if he, on that scale, he's the second highest in that. And like Will said, go ahead, Will.
Wait, sorry to interrupt. What does that mean? Like long runs? Is that how they
10
gauge?
plus, oh, my
I think
fault.
it's
It's
10 yards or more. I think.
yeah,
Okay.
10 plus
Okay.
yards. Yeah, 10 plus yards. My bad.
No.
Yeah, so
I
he was
wanted.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he was the second highest in FBS, and like Will said, it says it right here. Last year we were the fourth the fourth fewest explosive. We had the fourth
Sure.
fewest explosives in football last year, so I guess that's helping the problem. And as
The
you guys
issue
can see,
is
the
is
game.
I could go back in the draft every year, find you a guy who's top three in explosive runs, and then he does not do explosive runs to the next level because he
Right,
doesn't have the
right,
acceleration and speed. And
exactly. So it's like it could just not translate.
this is one of the concerns I have, right? And we talked about this before, but like, so he had a huge game against New Mexico, kind of a nothing school this season. Kentucky, huge game. Louisiana Monroe, huge game. Now Texas A&M was okay. I want to say they were 8-5. They had an okay defense.
Yeah,
But he got but it was that's a quadruple overtime game. So you got to take that with a grain of salt, right? The
yeah.
so his big games this season were against pretty insignificant competition. When he played Alabama, he put up 56 yards. When he played, Missouri, 57 yards, three yards per carry. Georgia had a
He
decent
was
game
good against
against
Georgia.
Georgia. Oklahoma was a decent game. Arkansas, okay, 67 yards. Cal, 57 yards. So like he really picked up a bulk of his numbers against some pretty mediocre schools. You're about Kentucky specifically and New Mexico. I mean, that's over 400 yards, almost 450 yards in 2 games against some pretty piss poor competition. That also concerns me some is that he basically had huge games against, and then against bigger schools. He really didn't have a 100-yard game against a bigger school, except for the quadruple overtime game against Texas A&M. Does that concern you guys at all?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean it has to. I mean,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
concern. Yeah,
It concerns me, but it's one of those things to where I'm always the type of guy where if you playing bad schools, beat them down like you're supposed to beat them down. So
But you got
if
to
you
produce
go,
against the good schools
yeah, but I
too.
think I think that the issue isn't that he. It's just that he played well against that lower
Yeah,
competition, and we take that with a grain of salt. It's that he didn't play well against the good schools.
right.
But
well, he did. He had games. He had games against good schools, but it wasn't like anything, anything crazy.
yeah,
But yeah,
I mean,
I'm not like super duper high
Yeah,
on
I know,
Jarquez.
no.
So this not a thing to where I'm like, oh, he's a great running back, blah blah blah.
So,
I just like this film a little
can
bit more than
I
y'all
can I
do.
just go
But go ahead.
backwards for 1 second? I forgot to make this point when we were
Yeah.
talking about Josiah, but Josiah has the same problem. He had 2 sacks against Northwestern. They won 50-6. He had 2 sacks against USC. USC has one of the worst O lines in college football. He had 2 sacks against Fresno State. So 6 of his sacks were against pretty garbage schools, to be honest. So this is the same thing
yeah,
as like when you're playing Texas, nothing burger. When you're playing, bigger schools like Ohio State, nothing burger. Um, and that to me is problematic. Again, it's concerning, right? It's something to definitely think about because when you're playing the bigger schools with an NFL level talent, that is when you need to show that you're an NFL level talent yourself. Picking on smaller schools with guys who are going to be insurance age, adjusters in the next 2 years is not really selling me on a lot in my opinion. And so both of those guys
yeah.
had that problem. Now let's go ahead and kind of roll through the rest of these guys.
Oh,
Well, just
real quick,
last thing on
real
Hunter,
quick.
Sure, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say the Rams have not done a good job drafting running backs
Bingo.
in McVay's entire tenure. So that in itself is like makes me
Yep,
not really trust. I mean, how many running backs have we taken in Sean McVay's tenure? A lot,
a
actually.
lot
We've taken a
actually.
lot. We have never had like that guy. Now, some Rams fans are going to say Kyron Williams is that guy. He look 2 years ago he had a pretty good year. After last season, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to again go
Hey,
into all the details.
there
The yards per
isn't.
carry, the yards after contact,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
lack of explosive runs, the fumbles. He's not that. He's not that guy. So
There's not
all
enough.
that to say,
There's not enough drugs on planet Earth to convince any of us that Kyron's that guy. So
well,
Yeah.
a lot of Rams fans probably still think he is,
no,
but
it's true.
point being, it's just like, man, like I don't trust this team to draft a running back is like half my doubt, and
Sure.
like that's sad to say because the Rams are kind of synonymous with like good running backs, and
Yeah,
like growing up in my childhood, like we always had a good running back, Falk, Steven Jackson, Gurley, like so that's kind of sad, man. But that's the last thing
it's
I had
true.
on him.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say, just a fun fact. It's not really nothing football related. When it comes to Jarquez, he's sort of like a Xavier Leggett, where he's sort of like a part-time cowboy. It looks like. I was yeah, I was looking it up, and he was saying in his free time, so like to ride horses, hunt, fish. He had a quote. He said, "I skin a buck and I run a trot line and a country boy can survive. So, and he wears cowboy hats to like every game at Auburn. If you watch and look at the, when they walk in, he wears
Yeah.
cowboy hats all the time. So he's a country boy. There's people out there. I know there's a lot of country people in the world. So if you guys like that, you might take an interest in him.
I like it.
Sure.
Quorum's like that too, by the way. Grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, that's cool.
So let's go through these last 3 picks quickly here. Ty Hamilton, man, watching him and going. Well, actually, I have his measurables pulled up. He's actually pretty darn athletic, pretty speedy for.
I didn't watch Todd yet.
Big hands, decent arms, 35 bench presses is crazy. That's a lot. Pretty explosive. I mean, overall athletic. His athletic profile is good. 6'3", 300 pounds. Now on his film, it really wasn't anything to kind of bring you home. It was decent. It was good. It just wasn't like, oh man, he's what?
Is he a run stopper?
Yeah, that kind of specializes as a run stopper. I mean, let me pull up his numbers. We can take a look at that. He just doesn't like flash on screen as something that's like. So you see, he's a run stopper. He had 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. He's just kind of a space eater for the most part during his whole career. I mean, you're talking about a 5-year guy starting 4 years fully, and he had 14 tackles for losses and 8 sacks. So it's not, and even then, just 2 pass deflections for a guy who can like just get your big mid up, man, and like knock the ball down. I think this is a project for his athleticism and seeing what our D-line coach can do with him, which is fair. It's the 5th round. Don't we have any issues with that? There was obviously, we talked about, better talent on the board. And D-line doesn't really feel like a huge need because we have Puna Ford, we have Kobe Turner, we have Braden Fisk, we've got Tyler Davis. Like, we actually have some pretty solid depth at the D-line, so it's kind of head scratcher in that sense. But athletic, I mean, what do you guys have to say about Ty Hamilton?
Yeah, like I said, I really haven't watched the tape yet. I did just some basic research without watching tape. I seen that. That's why I asked, was he a run stopper on the tape? Because I've seen some things where he was high in run stopping and like top 10 in the FBS or something like that. I don't know the exact stat.
In run
yeah, that's
stops,
all I know.
which is an odd stat because you see he doesn't have tackles for loss, so it's basically he's stopping guys for 2-3 yard runs basically because he's not getting anyone down for a negative. He's a 5th round pick. He's very athletic.
Yeah.
That's the best thing to say about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just classic 5th round depth pick. It's fine to me. It's something that probably maybe in 2 years we look back and we say, oh, okay, that made sense. Like Puna Ford's on the last year of his contract. We have a backup, detail. It's fine. It's a fine.
He's a depth guy. So that is what
you
it
need
is.
bodies on the trenches. It's fine. It's fine with me.
Next guy we're looking at is Chris Paul Jr. from Ole Miss. Now he's a bit of a polarizing figure. I've heard totally crazy different ideas about him. Here's his physical profile. He is very small, 6'7" of an inch, and 222 pounds. 222 pounds for an inside linebacker is pretty much the bottom of the barrel as far as size goes. There's safeties that are bigger than this at the NFL level. In fact, the one drafted in the 1st round that we were talking about, Imani, he's taller and weighs more than this guy does. And he's a safety. This guy is a middle linebacker. He is kind of fast, 4.63. The issue with this is 4.63 is decent speed for a linebacker, but the guys who are putting up 4.63 speed are usually 6'4" and 250 pounds. So when you're that small, you should really be a speedy coverage sideline to sideline guy. So he doesn't have that elite speed that a guy that his arms are incredibly short, 29 inches. And the agility grades are just horrific, like a horror show. His physical profile is not good. He's fast and he got a good vertical, but even the broad is pretty poor, and he's not agile. Just for a guy that small, you expect speed, agility, and explosiveness. He has none of that stuff in spades, and he's lacking significantly athletically. Now, on the other flip, and the 11 tackles for loss, 3. So he's kind of a blitzing, run-stopping specialist, which is ironic because we kind of needed a coverage guy. You would think a guy at 222 pounds would be coverage. Now, he really sticks to the line of scrimmage a lot. My main issues with him are he clearly has a major lack in strength. He has, I would say he's got good horizontal footwork. His footwork when he's shuffling his feet across the line is decent. I don't quite care for his instincts. And even though he's got 50 tackles, solo tackles, and 38 assisted, watching the film, watching his highlights, the vast majority of his highlight plays are gang tackles, and I find that somewhat problematic because you watch guys like Omar Speights and Stutzman and Buchanan, and they're just exploding through gaps and making incredible tackles and plays. I'm not a huge fan of his. He tackles high a lot, which I'm not a big fan of because a guy 222 pounds trying to high tackle Saquon Barkley is going to find his face being shoved into the turf. Like, it's going to be problematic. So, did you guys get a chance to watch Chris Paul yet?
Yeah. We had watched Chris Paul together, I
Yeah, we did.
believe.
We gave him a pretty low
Yeah.
grade. I think he was our second
And
lowest graded linebacker.
yeah, we gave him a pretty low grade. I didn't like his tape at all. I thought he was, like you said, pretty slow. He's not big at all, which I don't like. Unless if he was like a leading coverage in that size, then I might have been okay with it. But he's not that.
If you're
Yeah, he
small,
doesn't.
play bigger. Be aggressive
Yeah.
and physical. He's none of those things.
Yeah, he doesn't really. That's the pick I really don't like. I will say that you guys know me. I like to see positive and stuff. I do like. He's a patient player. He's not really
He is
erratic.
patient.
He's not a lot. Yeah, he's not all over the place. He's pretty patient. That could be effective at the next level if you could tone up his other stuff. And then like you said, of course, it's a caveat to it, but he didn't really miss tackles at the college football level. He had a low percentage of missed
Very low.
tackles, and yeah. So like you said, it could have been a case a lot of game tackles, a lot of assists, and things of that nature. Those two things I did like about it, and it's like if I could like put his like mind into like a bigger linebacker,
Yeah.
then I probably would be okay with the pick. But just his size and him not being super athletic and not being super physical, it made me not like the pick really. So
Does it make sense when I say, because I do agree with you, I think he actually has decent IQ. I just don't think he has good instincts. Does that make sense? How I separate them? Because the way he diagnoses plays is acceptable to me. It's decent, but he doesn't feel what's coming. Like you see Omar Speights is like exploding through the right gap making tackles before the play even develops. He has a sixth sense. Yeah, the anticipation factor for Chris Paul is nowhere. It's poor. But he does like Joe was saying, he's patient and he reads it and he does react to it. But man, at the NFL level, everything happens so fast. I like a guy who doesn't react and instead is proactively, instinctually anticipating what's happening. And he doesn't do that at the college level. Now, to my point earlier, this is Ole Miss's defense right here, second in all of college football. So
they had a great defense.
When I'm talking about gang tackles, the Ole Miss defenses, they're all around the ball at all times. And that's really not how NFL ball works because every single person on the field at an NFL level is incredibly athletic and can beat you in so many ways. They don't have the flexibility of having, 5 guys crash down, which is what a lot of that film showed. And that makes me concerned is that there's going to be plays at the NFL level where the only guy who's capable of making a tackle on Saquon Barkley is 6 foot, 222-pound Chris Paul Jr. Do I trust him to make that tackle? I don't. First of all, I think he's going to be so slow on the anticipation that he's going to get blown by. But if he gets there, Saquon's going to stuff him into the turf, right?
Yeah, you know what? Just to piggyback off your point earlier when you was trying to, separate the two between instinct and his IQ. What I could say is he's technical. He knows the game. And he knows the linebacker position and he knows how to play it. But he doesn't have just the extra, like you were saying, the extra that you need at the next level, like the instincts, like the God-given ability that some guys have. He just doesn't have that. But looking at him, I could tell he knows the game. He understands how to be a linebacker, though.
And the part that makes it really difficult is you're like, okay, well, maybe he could be played as a sub linebacker, but he doesn't show any major chops in coverage also. So it's tough.
I mean, I'm being dead serious when I say this. Part of the reason why I didn't watch that much of him is I'm saying to myself, no matter how good he is, this coaching staff is going to play Troy Reader over him alongside Omar Speights.
Unless
that's a whole other story.
Hold on. What if Landman saves a group of kittens from a burning building? Then he'll be even a better guy than Troy Reader, and maybe he'll play. Because I know the football talent doesn't make a difference.
Right. No, exactly. Like when I just saw 5th round pick linebacker, that's not like a high investment. I'm just thinking to myself, like, unless Troy Reader gets hurt, it's probably just going to be Reader and Speights. I mean, because Speights was so much better than Reader, and they still didn't play him at first.
Until Reader got hurt. They didn't play him at all. He didn't play a snap over Reader.
Yeah. So it's like I'm almost like my take on this pick is almost like who cares? And I say that like
Yeah.
half joking, but
That's
it's like
fair.
half joking, half serious. Like the other dude I liked too was the UDFA from Buffalo,
Yeah.
Sean Dolak, I think his
Yeah,
name
Dolak.
is.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
if you want a precedent for a UDFA actually playing, look no further than Omar Spates, who's our other linebacker, who was a UDFA
But he
and
didn't play
plays really
until
well.
they were forced to play him.
Well,
That's the problem.
yeah. But so I guess precedent for
Will-
maybe
you
Will's-
can say
that can be a really good player.
he made the
So,
roster. He made the
Yeah.
roster.
Will's hoping for another Torrey Reader injury, but yeah.
I mean, hey, I don't want to say that, but maybe just like a soft tissue, like nothing serious, but just out for 1 week.
Or how
and then-
about Troy Reader just decides, look, you know what, this football thing's not for me. I'm going to retire early and go become an insurance, agent, whatever.
I wish, man. I wish.
Man, I
like
pray-
no,
I-
no
I pray that
disrespect,
they-
but I
pray
can't
that they
watch
do
that
Sean
dude
Reader.
for another season, man. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
At least Rosebim's gone.
I totally
That's-
understand your point. I actually think there's a small chance Spates doesn't start, to be honest. I really do.
Oh my God!
I
no
think-
way. Oh,
I think
That
there's
would
a
be
chance.
indeed.
Listen.
Right.
Here's my theory. This Nate Landman thing. I really think there's a chance Landman and Reader start. I really do.
listen, I'm not even gonna think about that. I'm just gonna.
But look, we can't
Yeah.
trust the personnel decisions of the Rams have been all wonky lately. So that's part of my hesitation. My thought is that they just do things that don't make sense, and that doesn't make any sense. But they really didn't want to play Spates at all last year, and they were forced to because of the Reader injury. And I'm just going, maybe they just say, hey, let's go back to Reader. He's the green dot. He's the experienced guy. It's possible. Worst things have happened. All right, next pick and last pick is Kanata Mumfield. Let's take a look at Kanata's. Now this is going to hurt your guys' feelings. Some of you are
Yeah.
going to be pretty rocked by this.
Yeah, this is why he slipped. This
This is
is
why he's a 7th-round pick. So
everything.
I can't even begin to describe to you guys how bad these measurables are. Forget the athleticism. 8.5-inch hands are like legendarily bad. 8.5-inch
Mhm.
hands are very small for anyone at any position in the NFL. I mean, 9
Mhm.
inches is basically, if you're below 9 inches, you have midget hands, right? Arm length 29 inches is very bad for a receiver. Height 5'11", 186 are both very small. I mean, you guys can see 3. If you could see numbers next to the hand size and the arm length, I'm telling you, they would be under 3. They'd be in the 2s or lower. So you're going, okay, really small guy, but he's fast, right? Well, no, he's not. And he's actually not quick either. His speed gets lower the shorter the burst of speed. So his 10-yard split is actually a lower number than his 40-yard and his 20-yard. So it's just a disaster. The only thing he has going for him athletically is 3-cone. But he's got really good hands. He's a decent route runner.
Yep. Yep.
He's
Yeah.
kind of that gritty receiver that can do a little bit of everything. I wouldn't expect for this guy to play much whatsoever
No.
at the next level. I don't like.
Yeah.
We watched Puka and we were like, there's a legitimate chance Puka could be a really good receiver, right? We watched them together and we were like, there's a lot of he did it at BYU. It wasn't crazy competition, but he looked like an NFL receiver. So we're gonna wait and see if it translates. If it does, he's gonna be really good. We watch Whittington and we say, oh, he's gonna be really good. We watch Kanata and we're like, I don't quite see the vision. Like I see the skills, but I don't see how it's gonna translate to the next level.
Yeah. When I watched Kanata, I watched him recently. And I was literally right after he drafted him because I didn't know who he was. I just heard his name before when I was researching receivers early on before the
Mhm.
draft. I heard his name. A lot of people were, talking about him, and just a channel I watched, they were talking about him. And this is like, it's a 7th-round receiver. It's boom or bust.
Sure,
So
of
it's
course.
like, if he doesn't work out, who cares? He's 7th-round. But if he does work out, oh, good. We got another. Even though Puka's drafted higher, we got another Puka type player, another
Sure.
Jordan Whittington. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's a good route runner. He has very good hands, man. That's the part I really like the most. His hands are very good. He caught a lot of balls. He didn't drop anything really. I don't know how many. I wish I should have researched before we got on, but I wish I could find how many drops he had in college. I don't know if it was a lot, but yeah, he's a pick kid. So our last pick kid was Aaron Donald. So who knows, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, all I have to add, because yeah, I mean, it's a 7th-round pick, is I think he'll be fun to watch in preseason. I think it'll be one of those guys that like is just fun to track in preseason. He'll probably make I don't see him in preseason being like Whittington with like 7 or 8 catches in a game, but I think he'll make like 2 or 3 catches that are like, contested, tough catches. I think he'll be fun to watch. Almost like Nelson Spruce, who, by the way, should have made the team. But if you all remember him in preseason, like this is probably like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he'll just be a fun player, bubble player, borderline to make the roster. It'd be fun to root for him in preseason. And yeah, small hands, but he looks like he's catching everything. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of preseason, guess who didn't draft another quarterback? Guess who we're gonna see in preseason?
Stetson Bennett, baby.
Stetson Bennett, baby.
Yep.
It's crazy because some good quarterbacks fell. Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd, Shedeur Sanders in the 5th. Like, we could have actually planned for that future a little bit. Dylan and Shedeur both have talent to be starting quarterbacks in the NFL in the future.
Yeah. And the last thing we should mention is the pick we didn't make. The first round
of
pick
course.
that we traded. So just you guys mentioning the quarterbacks
First one,
made me think of that. I think the plan is to take those 2 first-round picks next year and trade up for a quarterback. If that is the plan, I agree with it. I think Stafford is, close to being done.
I've actually heard a ton of people post-draft say that that's not the plan, and the plan is actually to use the first-round draft pick to trade for talent.
To trade that first-round pick.
Joe, I think you've seen it too. We've seen multiple people say that
Yeah,
everything they've heard is saying that the Rams will not have that draft pick when the draft comes around next year, and they expect
I've seen both.
pick.
Yeah, I've seen both sides, and but the Rams thing to do is at the deadline in October, use both of those picks and trade for an impact player.
Well,
that's another possibility.
Let me preface what Joe's saying though. The only people, now you correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, the only people I've seen talk about Arch Manning are Rams fans. I haven't seen any scout or media personality person who does football talk about Arch. Everyone I've seen in the media has talked about us trading that pick for a player.
The only person I've seen talk about Arch was Rossini. Other than that, I haven't really seen.
No, but Rossini said everyone's like, hey, they're gonna go for Arch.
Telling her, yeah.
And she said, but everything that I've heard from NFL people is the Rams are gonna use that pick for a player. So she was actually downplaying that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to believe anything draft related. Teams
of course
play close to.
Also,
I'll also say, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it doesn't matter because Arch Manning is gonna be the number 1 pick. It's gonna take if the number 1 team is even willing to trade, it's gonna take 4 first-round picks. He is one of the most, unless he bombs, and he's not going to. If you watch his film, the kid is incredible. He is one of the most anticipated quarterbacks since Andrew Luck in the draft. There's just no conceivable way we're going to have the draft capital to go up and get Arch, even if, the Falcons would have to bomb.
Yeah, we'd have to.
Well, the Falcons.
Bomb and both.
Yes,
like
exactly.
To your point, like
the only other option. The only other option that really, works out that way is if the number 1 team doesn't need a quarterback somehow. Like
but we're competing with every other team that needs a quarterback then.
Yeah.
And the price is going to skyrocket.
Like me, if I had to guess, now, this is a conspiracy theory. This is just me thinking. Brad Holmes went to the Lions, did us a favor. James Gladstone, do us a favor, baby.
He's not going to be in it. He's not going to be.
Do us a favor, baby.
Dude, you're telling me Trevor Lawrence with Travis?
LA.
Oh, you want Trevor Lawrence? Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought you were saying they were going to have the number 1 pick.
I don't want Trevor Lawrence. I'm good.
I do.
I'll take Trevor Lawrence.
I love Trevor Lawrence.
I'll take him, but I think I'd rather just take the 2 first and go for
Side note, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is tradable. Didn't they just give him a huge extension? I think he's got tons of
I think they did.
But
year before last, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap. We did the draft. I do want to quickly discuss all of the additions and the people who left. So we got Devontae Adams coming in, Cooper Kupp headed out, Jonah Jackson headed out via trade. Joseph Nopum, no one wants to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Alaric is re-signed. DeMarcus is the 49ers. Jimmy's back. Coleman is back. Hoyt is gone. Thank you. Poona Ford is in. Poona Ford's the biggest. Him and Devontae, the 2 biggest signings we had all season. Unfortunately, Tutu Atwell's back. Christian Roseboom is gone. Thank you. John Johnson is gone. Actually, I still think there's a chance we bring John Johnson back at vet minimum. Hunter, I agree. Hunter Long is gone. Witherspoon is back. Unfortunately, Connor McDermott is gone, and no one has signed him. Murchison, Tyler Johnson is gone. Troy Reader's back.
Oh, Johnson went to the Jets?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
vet minimum, basically.
Yeah.
Reader's back. Gallimore went to the Colts. I actually kind of missed that. I'm upset about that one. Bobby Brown is gone. Thank you. Trey
Yeah,
Tomlinson
man.
is gone. I'm a little afraid Trey Tomlinson is finally going to break out. He's exactly the kind of slot corner the Niners like. He's hyper aggressive. He's pretty sticky. And man, I'm actually nervous that he's going to look really good in the 49ers defense. If there's a guy who's going to make that guy look good, it's going to be Robert Saleh. But we got Nate Landman from the Falcons. Ronnie Rivers is back, which now makes no sense considering we drafted another running back.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to be third string and Kyron's going to get traded.
Somebody getting cut. Somebody going to be gone. Somebody getting cut.
If we're not going to play Corum, I hope we just trade him or cut him. I genuinely, we're ruining that poor kid's career. Anyways,
I'm starting to think Will's right, bro. I think Kyron is out of here, bro.
I would be.
hope so.
That'd be great. Hummel is gone and Dylan McMahon is back. Now, what does this end up looking like for us as a team? This is our updated depth chart as of today. Now, we can discuss semantics of some of these spots, but these are the players that are on the roster. I do think, now from all indications that we've heard, Coleman Shelton and Bo Limmer, Coleman Shelton is brought in to be the starter. So they have absolutely no plans to have a competition there. Everything less than Sean Bosa said is that Bo Limmer is not going to be starting and Coleman Shelton has the job basically handed to him, which is crazy to all of us because we were big on Bo Limmer last year.
I don't understand that at all. I mean, Bo Limmer played so well, and he was a rookie. I mean, he's got even more potential.
100%.
I really don't understand that.
So
I don't even have any there's no reasoning I can even come up with. I'm just at a loss for words. I don't understand that.
I understand signing Coleman because Coleman is a interior O-line versatile backup piece, but if you're just signing him to be the starter, that's crazy because you know what that does? It actually hurts our rotation because now if Steve Avila goes in, instead of Coleman Shelton coming in to play left guard, you have Justin Dedich. And if Bo Limmer goes down, you don't have, and if Dotson goes down, you have KT Levinston instead of Coleman Shelton. So Coleman Shelton is like an incredible backup interior lineman that can come in and play any of those spots at an acceptable rate. And now we have so it doesn't just hurt us. I think Bo Limmer is a better starting center than Coleman Shelton, but now our backups are all worse at the left guard and the right guard position. It's a head scratcher to me. And then we've got Ferguson right now as tight end 2, which pushes Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen further down the depth chart. So what do you guys think about this offense?
I mean, I like the offense. Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. I think it could be explosive. The running back position has to be figured out though, because Kyron just holds back the team so much that it has to be figured out.
I genuinely don't see a significant upgrade over last year at all, and we were not a good offense last year.
I do. Well, we already talked about this already.
I mean, the whole Cooper Kupp versus Devontae Adams thing for me,
it's so good.
Yeah. It's almost similar to what I said about Chris Paul, the linebacker, and Troy Reader. It's to me, it almost doesn't matter who's a better player at this point in their career. It's more like, will this offense and / Matthew Stafford throw spread the ball around?
Yeah, because that's a good point.
Cooper Kupp was good enough. We can argue about how good he was.
That's the Stafford problem.
But the point was, I think a fair take is he was good enough to be doing more than he was. And there were so many plays where he was open and Stafford wasn't even looking his way.
Yep.
We talked about this last season. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in last game of the season. We spread the ball around. We show kind of what this and Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously not better than Matthew Stafford, but it just gave you a glimpse of how I feel like this offense should be running. I mean, West Coast offense is supposed to be quick game. You're spreading the ball around. So for me, it's with Adams, I'm just I mean, it can be as good as Matthew Stafford and this offense decides to make it. I don't know what to make of it right now because I didn't think Cooper Kupp was the problem, but I like Devontae Adams, yeah. And then with Tutu,
he's not a starting receiver, man. He's just not.
The other thing is I really, really like Jordan Whittington, and I was excited for him to get the opportunity at wide receiver 3. So then when we re-signed Tutu for $10 million, I don't love it. I mean, I guess Sean's going with it is he wants the versatility, he wants the quote unquote burner, but I don't know, man.
we'll see.
So
We'll
I,
see.
I see a downgrade at center, not a big one, but a downgrade nonetheless. I see our entire grouping of backup O line is just piss poor. You got our Curry, Dedich, Limber is a good backup, but then Levinston and McClendon. That is not a good. You do not have a single starter capable backup offensive lineman besides Bo Limmer. And
Mhm.
Bo Limmer has not shown the ability to play either guard spot. So he is strictly for Coleman Shelton if he goes down. That is a concern to me. Tutu
I
Atwell
thought
at
Dedich
slot.
was okay. I thought Dedich was okay at center, but I haven't seen him play any other positions.
Dedich,
Dedich was
I would-
okay only because we were just watching much worse players play. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think Dedich was okay. I think
No,
he was-
yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
No, I thought he was fine.
and then you got Stafford, a year older, and he was kind of already showing some levels of decline. And then you have Kyron Williams, who declined massively 2 years ago to this year, to this last year. And so if he continues that trend, that's going to be even worse. I don't know. We haven't been a good offense in a few years, and I'm nervous that this trend is going to not change. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Let's go take a look
I
at the
mean-
go ahead.
just to clarify, like I am excited about Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Like he's a very good player. Like I'm just like skeptical of this team because from the second we've had Puka Nakua, this whole offense has just been basically like meathead, like throw the, like it's like
Throw to Puka, run
drop
with
back
Kevin.
3 steps, throw the ball to Puka Nakua. Like so Sean has to, which is crazy to say because Sean McVay is a genius, but Sean and Stafford kind of have to prove to me that they can make this work with Devontae and Puka. As that's where I'm at. Like they have to show that to me. And then again with Tutu, like man, they keep saying they want to use. They've been saying they need to do a better. How many times have I heard Sean McVay in the last 4 years say we need to do a better job of utilizing Tutu Atwell? And it gets
Every
to the
year
point where
since he's
it's
been
like
here?
I just don't buy it. And now
Oh.
that we've given him 10 million, I'm gonna buy it. Like maybe just because they paid him, but still, no, not really. So the wide receiver room is like it's interesting because there's talent, but I don't know how it's all gonna work together. And again, Whittington is just sitting, it's just wasting
Rotting.
away on the bench. So
All right, let's take a look at the defense. Defensively, we really didn't do a lot to get better, which is really, really disappointing. I mean, you look at it, and there's only one new starter on defense, and that's Puna Ford.
yeah,
Yeah, we
which
got
by the way,
the,
I love that signing.
Love
I
it.
love that might
Yeah, I
be the
do.
best. I mean,
I think that's
that
the best signing we made.
position of need, good player, it's not old yet, untapped potential, like that's an A. I love the Puna Ford signing.
As you guys can see, as of right now, Troy Reader is starting.
Yeah.
Puna Ford is second. Omar Speights is second. The secondary, I mean, Darius Williams just looks like he's on a massive decline. Akello is bad, seemingly 15 games a year, and then he has like a couple decent games. I do like Cam Curl and Cam Kinchen's combo, but Curl is
Mhm.
consistently played out of position. And then
Yep.
Quentin Lake at the star, the nickelback, can just
Not good.
no thank you.
Not-
The secondary is an absolute disaster right now.
Listen,
We have to
listen,
have one of the worst secondaries in football. I mean, would you guys
I'm not
debate
gonna lie.
that?
No,
be
I
real.
wouldn't debate that.
I'm gonna be real, bro. If Jalen Ramsey is not on this team by the beginning of the season, this will be one of the worst secondaries I've ever seen. It was one of the worst secondaries I've ever seen last year.
Yeah.
And now these Kello got older and Darius got older.
Yep.
So what if they decline
And
even more?
I could see
It could
Lake.
be the
I
worst
could see
secondary
Quentin
in
Lake
They
football.
very
declining.
well could. Yeah, Darius Williams is only.
He's
getting-
33. He's 33.
He
He
He's
shouldn't
old.
be
he's
a,
not
he
getting
shouldn't be a
better.
CB. He shouldn't be a CB1 or even a 2. He should be in a
No,
3
no,
spot.
absolutely. He
Yeah.
absolutely should. He's a CB2, like, and that's being generous. Like
Yeah.
he's like a borderline CB2 at this
He
point. in his
declined
career.
massively last year. He had a really bad year.
Dude, this secondary could be legit one of the worst.
The only thing I can say that's like I guess being optimistic is I think they played much better when they switched to man coverage at the very, very end of the year. Like they didn't do it till the very.
But we got to
very
see
end.
more of that, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean as optimism. Like it's like that could be something where you look at that and go, okay, maybe they just need to shift how they play. But
Do it
I
to
mean,
someone besides
not a good
Sam Darnold and we'll talk.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So you know what's crazy is so if we weren't going to invest heavily at secondary, what I really wanted from us was to get an elite linebacker, whether it was free agency or the draft, to just solidify the front seven as being an elite unit. You can have a mediocre secondary if your front seven is elite, but boys, right now, Troy Reader is a massive hole in that front seven.
Yep.
He just is. And he negatively affects all the players around him. We've watched it for years. A bad inside linebacker has a negative effect on everyone around him, and I'm really nervous. I almost hope Nate Landman plays or Chris Paul Jr. plays, or hopefully we go and get a guy. There's still some linebackers that would be starting on this team in free agency and via trade.
What do you think of Nate Landman?
I mean, he's just a guy.
Okay.
He's just a guy. Joe, you watch some of Nate Landman. Is he anything more than just a guy?
Yeah, bro. My whole mood was just ruined as soon as I seen Troy Reader, bro. It ruined my whole mood, dude. Nate Landman was cool. He was a run stopper. He did that well.
Kind of. Last year he had no tackles for loss, which is just mind blowing.
Yeah, I don't really care about Nate Landman.
Yeah, he's just a guy, right? He's not.
Yeah.
He had it
What I
like
want- what I
his
want
year
to
2
happen-
years ago was decent. 7 tackles
What
for
I want to
loss,
happen
2
is Omar.
sacks.
I want Omar to play, and then I just pray that Chris Paul is just better than Troy Reader at least.
I mean,
And then he
even if he
plays.
is, he may not play over Reader.
That's
which
true.
is what the Rams do.
So
I mean,
it's just so frustrating, bro. That like you bring these
they
players
just-
back that sucks so much, and Sean McVay, you know more football than me, dude. You can see that Troy Reader is ass. It's not a hard concept.
yeah.
He's awful. You can see that just by looking at the tape. So I pray to God that he doesn't start, bro, because it made me want to not watch football, dude. It's
Yeah.
Painful.
awful, man.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about this is, I guess I applaud the Rams for the moves that they did not make, which is they did not re-sign Christian Rosewoom, they did not re-sign Bobby Brown, and they did not sign Michael Hoyt. 3 players that all 3 of us were in agreement we did not like on this defense, and for some
Yep.
reason a lot of Rams fans like. Those guys were not good. All right. So Rams saw it that way too. They're gone. We re-signed Tutu Atwell, which kind of sucks, but at least we didn't re-sign those 3. So
Yep.
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
like the defense
I'm
more
be
for
real.
just that reason. Like, that's a big positive for me.
I'm gonna be real. Michael Hoyt is better than Troy Reader.
Well, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
So it's like, why didn't you see Troy Reader was bad? You saw Michael Hoyt was bad. I don't. That's just
Yeah, I don't know either. I think it's just because Hoyt actually, like, I guess got like okay money, like, on the open market. He could go and fetch some okay money somehow. I don't know how, but
Do you guys want to give the offseason a grade?
sure.
You want to do it separately or just together?
No, let's just do a whole offseason grade.
Okay, let me think about it for a second.
Like, wait, so you're saying free agency and draft?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, together.
Do you guys want to do a draft grade and then an offseason grade?
We can combine it. I don't care.
I just
Whatever you
said combine it. I'll go first. I'm gonna go with D.
okay.
wanna do. Who?
A D. I
Okay.
I don't. Well, the 2 things you want to do in the offseason are get better for next year and get better for the future. I just genuinely don't think we did that. We definitely didn't get better for the future, right? I mean, Stafford is here again. We didn't get a quarterback to take his place in the future. Devontae Adams is older. We really like Puna Ford, but he's here on a 1-year deal, right? So
I think it's 3-year deal.
Puna Ford's here on a 3-year deal. He is a bit older. That is a good deal for us.
The best move we made. I mean, that
yeah,
move
yeah.
is
I mean, so that's really the only move that I think had a really heavy influence on our future in this year is Puna Ford. I think the
Yeah.
receiver room is slightly better, but when you plug in Tutu and then you have the Cup and Devontae, because really it's Devontae taking D-Rob's spot and Tutu's taking Cup's spot. So we got a big upgrade from D-Rob to Devontae, but we also got a huge downgrade from Cup to Tutu. So I think we're going to be a slightly better team, but I think a lot of other teams got a lot better. Like, I think the Seahawks actually had a pretty decent offseason. They had a great draft. The 49ers, kind of a mid. I don't know. It's just, and a lot of things can happen. I just don't think we foolproofed it enough, and we didn't get enough future talent, in my opinion.
Yeah, Will, you got a grade?
Yeah, I'm gonna say C-. I mean, you look at the last 2 drafts, 23 and 24. Those were like, not only were those great drafts, but those were drafts where, like, right after we drafted, we were, it's not
Elite.
even just hindsight. Like, we could see, like, Jared Verse,
Braden Fisk, we were like, oh yeah, these guys are going to come in and make an impact. Cam Kinchins, I was really
Avila,
high on Cam Kinchins.
Puka.
Avila, yeah, like it was like, no, like these guys are going to contribute, and we were right. I don't. Obviously, I could be wrong. Like draft is a crapshoot for everybody. Like even GMs, like they get half them wrong. But I just don't see that immediate contribution, like you were saying at the very beginning, from this draft class. And then, yeah, I mean, re-signing Tutu Atwell for 10 mil, Garoppolo giving him a big contract. I mean, another way I could say this is the grade is incomplete, because if we go and get Jalen Ramsey and we end up not re-signing Kyren Williams, like that could bring the grade up. But
if we go get Ramsey or make another big move, we'll regrade it. But for right now,
yeah, for sure. For right now, what I'm working with at face value, I'm gonna say C-.
Yeah, for me, it's just a straight C. Could be a C- too, but yeah, just a straight C. My highlights were Devontae Adams, Poona Ford, same as you guys. And then Terrence Ferguson, I thought that was a really good pick in the draft, and it could have been higher if we would have did better moves. Could have been up to C plus B if we did better moves in the draft. But the only player that I really can say I stamped like is Terrence Ferguson in the 6-player draft. So that doesn't raise the grade up any. So just a straight.
What would have really raised the grade up for me is had we gone and gotten Devontae Adams and just simply kept Cooper Kupp. Again, we would have had more in cap space if we had kept Cooper and not signed Tutu Atwell again. That would have been a significantly better receiver room. Like unquestionably, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams is a stud receiver room. And then you have Jordan Whittington who can fill it in any of those spots as a rotational receiver. That room is great.
Yeah.
So,
I liked it. We both liked the Devontae Adams, but like at the end of the day, the receiver room is just not enough better to justify, because realistically, we spent a boatload of money on that receiver room this offseason.
And it could be if Stafford starts looking around past Puka Nacua. I mean, Adams has the potential to contribute a lot.
100%.
We'll see. I mean, and the other thing too is like, if we are win now, I don't dislike trading out of the first round for the value we got and getting another first round pick. But if anything, trade up, man, and get like a Tyler Warren. If it's really like, all right, this is Stafford's last year, it's win now. Like, I don't know. I would have rather have been like aggressive in that sense than kind of like forward thinking. But maybe that's just me because I'm impatient. But if anything, I would have liked to have seen us trade up with that first round pick maybe and get like a Tyler Warren. So.
Yeah.
Because we're grading it for what it is for this offseason. So not picking in the first round in like a crucial win now kind of brink season. I guess I don't love.
And you know what? I think that's probably another reason why I didn't go C-. But just because getting the first next year, I guess that upped it up a point for me too. So
that's true.
Yeah, a solid C.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, I just say that because, like, look at Jared Verse. He was a rookie first-round pick, but contributed so much to our season. And I get it. There was no one at that spot on the board that you liked that much, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't have traded out. But, like, you could trade up and get someone that's going to really help your team right now. And, again, a pivotal year. So, anyways, that's pretty much it, though.
I do want to kind of just solidify this point about the receiver room and why I'm kind of disappointed. And I'm trying to find this data point here, but so here's why I'm kind of bummed out, right? Is we heavily backloaded Devontae Adams' contract. So 12 million this year, but he's going to have like a huge amount of money owed to him next year. So we're 12th right now, including this in spending, but that doesn't include the 22 million in dead cap that Cooper Kupp gets. So in reality, our actual spending on our receiver room is top 5. And this is just not a top 5 receiver room in football. And that's kind of what really disappoints me is we would have actually spent less and had Cooper Kupp. And it's just like, I don't know. It just seemed like a disastrous thing to do, in my opinion. And
my only issue was just the Tutu Atwell, giving him a meaningless $10 million. To me, Devontae Adams, even without Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Jordan Whittington playing a lot, and Puka Nacua to me
100%.
is a really,
I
really
would have been fine with that too. If we let Tutu go, we got rid of Kupp, and then Whittington slides into the starter role, then you're
Yeah.
saving even more cap space. Then on this list, by the way, we're like 20th on the receiver spending list, and
You could've
Whittington is a better
taken the money
player.
around somewhere else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
you could've
that
gone
would have been a
somewhere
better
else.
move. The Tutu signing really just put a huge damper on a lot of the offseason.
No, it did. That was the worst. I mean, and Joe, you even said this. It also puts us in a position where it's like now we kind of have to use this guy because
Mhm.
we spent $10 million on him, and
Mhm.
like that could almost be worse. Like, no, if he's not good and he's not helping, don't play him. But like, since you spent $10 million on him, you know McVay's going to try to use him, and maybe it's just not what's best for this offense. So
Totally agree.
I don't know. But I'll say this: it's going to be interesting to see, like, what this is the fifth time around now. Like McVay's saying, "Oh yeah, we're actually going to use him." Like, all right, let's see it.
So here's just to recap the whole thing and the Tutu conversation is one of the reasons why Tutu is not used more than he is because he can only get open well. He can only release well at the line of scrimmage because he's so small if he's in motion. He struggles otherwise unless people play really far off the kid. And that just creates problems, not just for Tutu because he struggles to get a good release, but also if he's going in motion every play, then Puka can't go in motion, then Devontae can't go in motion, then,
True.
Higbee and Ferguson can't go in motion. So it's problematic for the whole offense, which is why Sean every year says we got to use Tutu more. And then Tutu's snaps are scaled way back because he just is not compatible with the rest of the offense. And Sean's playbook is so finely tuned around the motion guy.
Right.
And if only one guy can go in motion for this reason, it's problematic. And NFL teams have caught on. If Tutu doesn't go in motion, he's not a guy that's being really heavily looked at in that play. So, anyways, guys, we thank you for watching our draft recap, offseason recap episode. We're going to be back next week. Next week, we're going to be starting to take heavy, in-depth looks at all the draft picks that we made. And we'll even probably take a look at some of the UDFAs. But thanks for watching episode 1 of the Ram South podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
Go Rams.
Peace.